Roxanne and I drew straws and decided I would start this time. Thanks for having us. We always enjoy talking with new faculty who are thinking about career proposals. And both of us have operations that can really help you, some of you, with the educational outreach piece. I'm going to talk about what the Office of STEM Teaching Activities and the College of Arts and Sciences can do for you. And then Roxanne, I'll turn it over to Roxanne and she'll talk about what the Maglab can do to help you out. So the Office of STEM Teaching Activities serves faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences, but we also help them liaison with other faculty and other colleges. So I've helped people in the College of Engineering connect with people in education or arts and sciences or various places. We, in the Office of STEM Teaching Activities, have a number of outreach programs that have been running for a long time. Some of them go back as, the one on the screen right here goes back as far as 1983. And a number of faculty participate in these programs as a piece of their career grant education activities. So if you're interested in K-12 activities with students and or teachers, that's one of the things that we can connect you with. The program that I have on this slide is called the Young Scholars Program. This is a 6-week summer residential program where we bring in 40 high achieving science and math students from around the state. They have to apply. It's a competitive application process, not unlike an application process for an elite university. And we select 40 out of, we usually get about between 200 and 250 qualified applicants. The students come here for 6 weeks in the summer, as I said, and we have a program set up where 3 days a week they're doing kind of educational coursework that enhances their abilities once they get into the university. And I will say these are rising seniors, so they have one more year of high school. And 2 days a week they complete research projects with a faculty research sponsor. And so sometimes career faculty would like to have a small like high school component to their research grant, educational component to their research grant, and they can participate by sponsoring Young Scholars Program students in their labs. A second way that we have people participate is we have a suite of Saturday at the Sea programs. Some of them target middle school students and some of them target elementary school students. And any of you who work with marine or coastal systems or even other environmental projects might want to partner with some of our Saturday at the Sea program faculty to help think through how you could either participate in what we already have going or how we could help you develop out your ideas further. We also do a lot of teacher professional development activities. These tend to be workshops for teachers. These are professional learning activity experiences for teachers. We usually when we partner with researchers, it's for summer institutes where teachers will engage in some professional learning. When we've partnered with faculty in the past to develop these, their professional learning that they have, the piece of it that they're working on is usually the content piece. So they're using their research as a springboard to improving teacher content. And we sometimes will help with the pedagogy piece. As well, you might want to have provide a research experience for a K-12 teacher, usually a secondary teacher, grades 6 through 12. And we can help you develop that and set that up with faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences. And I'm going to not say more about RATs because Roxanne, I know, will talk a good bit about that because the Maglab does a lot of that kind of activity. We tend to do more like summer 1 week workshop activities. And sometimes that's what faculty want to do as part of their career outreach. And so if that's the case with you, you would get in touch with us. If you're more interested in taking in a single teacher or maybe 2 teachers into your laboratory during the summer, then Roxanne's going to be the person you probably want to contact. And I think I may have, here's an example of a, this was not a career project, but it was an NSF broader impact project, but we could do the same kind of work with a career project. This was 2 faculty members who had worked with us to design a high school curriculum using their research system. They happen to look at tiny ecosystems contained in the leaves of pitcher plants that are found not far from here. And so we worked with them. We brought in a group of teachers. We did some research with the teachers. They did some data collection, and then we worked with these 2 faculty members to develop a whole set of, it's actually like 4 days of classroom instruction on food webs, and it culminates in an investigation using the data that you see in the lower right-hand corner that the teachers collected doing the pitcher plant investigation themselves. The nice thing about this is like a publishable piece of work. We haven't gotten there yet. We're still in the process of pilot testing it in the classroom. You usually want to do that with at least 10 to 20 teachers before you publish it, but then it can be published in teacher practitioner journals. So that's an advantage to doing this kind of outreach project for your grant. And we have a number of these going on right now. One of them is a project that is developing curriculum that's actually being put into place in undergraduate courses, an innovative teaching curriculum unit that's being put into place in undergraduate courses. The other 2 are more directed at secondary school students and teachers. So there's lots of other things we can do. We can help you brainstorm ideas for education projects. We can connect you with other FSU professionals who are appropriate to advise you on your project. So for example, I had a mathematician one time who really wanted to develop an educational piece for elementary school students. And we were instrumental in connecting him with a researcher over in the College of Education who works with mathematics in elementary school students. So that's the kind of service that we can help you with. We also can help connect you with STEM educational literature to support what you're writing for your educational outreach project. And that can be important as that's probably an area of literature that you're less familiar with, and it's really hard to dig in and find the right pieces if you're less familiar with that whole body of work. And then finally, we work like through the Young Scholars Program, we work with every high school in Florida to recruit students in. We can connect you with schools and teachers locally. Most of our outreach is about a 9-county region, except for the Young Scholars and the Teacher Professional Development, which involves all the school districts in Florida. So if you have a project that you want to target to a certain area or even just have locally, we can connect you with teachers and schools or districts, depending on the scope of your project. I'm going to stop now and let Roxanne take over.
I am Roxanne Hughes, and I am the director of the Center for Integrating Research and Learning at the Maglab. So I don't see any of our Maglab scientists on here. We primarily serve and are contracted to serve those folks in their career grants. But like Ellen said, we're gonna talk to you a little bit about some ideas that might get you started thinking, or if you'd like to try an activity that is Maglab related. So we are very interdisciplinary and include physics, chemistry, biomedical, engineering, all of those pieces. So in most cases, you can figure out a way to maybe work with our programs. I will preface before I start this, like Beth said, always start early. And Ellen and I, both of our programs, we are busiest usually in the summer. So if you contact us in June, you're most likely, at least for me, I'm going to have to say no in terms of a consultation. If you contact me before then, I have more opportunities and time to talk through ideas or things like that. But pretty much once Memorial Day comes, that's when we are at our busiest at the Maglab in the Center for Integrating Research and Learning.
And she speaks for me on that as well. That's when we get super busy.
So let me share my screen. I'm just going to share the whole screen. So I just wanted to start with, this is our website, just to give you a sense of some of the programs we offer. We have a number of programs that are really more Maglab specific. So we have a high school externship program, but public schools, the schools in Leon County often have a career component for juniors and seniors, and they have to find a mentor to work with. So there are opportunities to work with high school students during the school year. Ellen talked about the Young Scholars Program, which is specifically in the summer. We have a middle school mentorship program, again, for our Maglab folks, but if you're interested in working with a middle school student, we could talk to you about the pros and cons of that. And then in the summer, we have a number of middle school summer camps. We have our Girl Summer Camp, which is a partnership between the Maglab and WFSU. And then we have our co-ed Camp Tesla Summer Camp. Those are both 1 week. And this is often not just for career grants, but it's often an opportunity for faculty to try out if there's an activity and they just want to see how it works. Our K through 12 education director, Carlos Villa, will work with you to say, okay, this is how you could present this, similarly to what Ellen showed you in terms of that curriculum, but it's I would say lower stakes in that you don't have to have a lesson plan or a published curriculum. You just have to have an idea and you try it out and you see how middle schoolers will be very honest with you in terms of the critical feedback as to how well it went over. So those are often opportunities to try some things. We also have a research experience for undergraduates. That is usually a 10-week REUs, our NSF funded programs. There's other opportunities. NASA provides funded opportunities for undergraduates, the DO, the Department of Energy, et cetera. NSFs are called REUs. We are not the only department on campus that provides that. The College of Engineering has a number of REUs. These are actually part of larger grants that PI's got. But if you had questions, you could I could connect you with my folks that run REU or to the College of Engineering just to get a sense of cost and what that looks like. I will say, and Beth can correct me, as well as the panelists that you're going to meet, an REU program might not be the innovative piece that they want because they already exist and NSF knows that they already exist. So if you're looking for innovation, you might want to do something in addition to an REU. Our research experiences for teachers, I will go to that, is a program that we have done at the Maglab. I think since 1998. It was before my time even at the Maglab, but this is a program, it is evolving every year because what we're finding, especially during the pandemic, our teachers are exhausted, our K through 12 teachers, as are all of you, I'm sure, as well. So typically the RET program would be a residential program. Teachers would come to the Maglab 6 weeks, work with a scientist in a lab, and then in the afternoons develop, do some sessions that involve how they could improve their science pedagogy to include more parts of the Maglab pieces. Last year, we did a virtual program, and because we have to plan so far ahead, we are doing a virtual program again this year, just in case we had to change. And both of those virtual programs, I will say, by offering it virtually, we had an increase in applications for this, mainly because teachers didn't have to uproot their lives, live in the graduate student dorms for the summer, all of these other pieces. And we've kind of changed the structure for that. Like Ellen said, we can connect you with teachers, specifically if you, like either one of us, if you're like, I am a social scientist, but I want to work with folks who are doing technology, then we could connect you with folks that we know in our own networks, teachers that might be willing to work with you. They are also a group that you want to get on board. The earlier you can email them, and you might have to be persistent because they are incredibly busy and their email is usually used for communicating with parents and their students. So they might not respond on the first try, but absolutely, if you are persistent, I know Ellen probably has some examples of career grants that have used that, but teachers are a great asset because if you connect with a teacher, even if it's in one classroom, if they're elementary, that's 30 students that you get to interact with and you visit, and you could really do some really great innovative things. If they're middle school teachers or high school teachers, on average, depending on the courses that they teach, you could reach 100 students in that year. So that ups your broader impact numbers as well. And our teachers, especially locally, are very much like they love all of the access that they have to really cool science and activities that folks are doing. When I was thinking about the preparation for this, Ellen already talked about our some of the School of Teacher Education folks that you can work with. If you're, obviously you all are not in education, some of you may be, but you might be like, how am I supposed to be an expert in education for a single PI career grant? You don't have to be. There are folks that we can connect you to. Ellen is also part of the FSU Teach program, which allows folks who major in STEM bachelor's degree programs. They also get essentially a minor in teaching, and they get to go and teach. It's modeled after the University of Texas UTeach program. A really cool opportunity to work with prospective teachers. So this is just to show you some of the place that you can go. Another group that you might not even consider, I've listed, they're all listed here, but instructional systems and learning technologies, just like our librarians, are probably the under-acknowledged group at FSU that could really help you with the design of curriculum. Instructional systems and learning technologies folks, really, really great department to work with, and those faculty could help, or grad students could help to consult on what would be required for a curriculum, especially if you're developing maybe an online curriculum. So those are some other folks that I would say to get in touch with. I saw my colleague, Dr. Yolanda Rankin, on here. The College of Communication and Information, shout out to them. There are a lot of folks, you hear education and you often think just the College of Education, but there's a communication aspect to any of our grants. So I will give a shout out to that college as well, and those colleagues that are doing some work. In terms of this, sorry, I just had to switch my screen so I could see it. When we're talking about communication, another partner that FSU has, that is part of FSU, is our local public television station and radio station, WFSU. This is their education page. They do a number of programming and communication aspects. So this is another innovative space for you to contact folks. They also do outreach with schools and parents. One of the things that I know Ellen can probably also amplify is if you're trying to reach students, so if part of your broader impacts for your grant or your education is to, let's say, build the STEM workforce, that doesn't happen without involving parents, families, and teachers, because those are going to be the folks who can amplify that message. So if you work with students, let's say in our Sci Girl Summer Camp, that might be 20 girls, but if you engage with their parents in monthly activities or through projects that WFSU or our local Boys and Girls Club are doing, you're going to engage more with the families who will see, oh, these are the benefits for these careers. These are the benefits that FSU faculty provide to our community. So the more you can engage with our community groups, and WFSU is definitely one of them. The other piece that I wanted to just highlight, and again, you're like, Roxanne, none of this is Maglab, and it's because we are a very small piece of what FSU has to offer. So I just wanted to give you a smattering of all of the things. If you're interested in working with industry or just entrepreneurship in general, Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship, really fantastic group. Always happy to get involved in projects and career grants. And these are things just to get you thinking of what you want to do. If you want to work with teachers, if you want to work with, like Ellen said, developing curriculum for college students. These are the various entities on campus that will help you with all of these aspects and are very happy to help you with them. I think I had, the last group that I wanted to highlight is the Learning Systems Institute. And I know I've left out some folks, but Learning Systems Institute has developed this program called CPALMs. Like Ellen's office, they'll also help, they can also help with curriculum. So if Ellen is like overwhelmed with all of the arts and science faculty that in her college, you can always reach out to these folks if you're outside of that to figure out how you can integrate this. I saw you come off mute, Ellen. Were you going to add?
I just thought you were drawing to a close and we could take questions, so I was ready, Roxanne.
No, that is perfect. I think I have hit all of my pieces. So again, we are the Maglab has to specifically focus. Our mission is on Maglab folks and advancing the Maglab mission. That's specifically materials, science, and research. But we have contacts and networks and are happy to help or provide even a simple email of like, how much does it cost to fund an REU? We can absolutely provide that information. And I'm happy to connect you to my colleagues across campus because they are all incredibly helpful. So with that, I will leave it open for questions. I see one that Matt asked here. Is it a good idea to try out an educational idea prior to a career submission? Sort of like a preliminary data analysis. Ellen, I'll go first and then pass it to you. I think absolutely. I would highly recommend it if you have the time, if you're not time crunched, but to test it out and to have pilot data is incredibly important. And we have had folks that have done that with our programs before doing, or even like they tested it out as they were writing the career grant. If they didn't get it, they could use that data to demonstrate the changes that they made in the pilot data.
I would agree with that and add that that said, I have also seen people that have just proposed something that they have not tested that's been successful and a highly rated program. If you're partnering with the right person in education and you have similar interests, that maybe you can build on something that they've already pilot tested by adding a new content piece to it that aligns with your grant so that you have some kind of a platform to build on. So that's another way that you could do that without having to actually have tested something yourself in the past.
I was wondering if either of you have worked with creating like educational videos, maybe that are then accessible, you know, put on YouTube and then accessible to schools, or could you speak to any kind of thing like that?
Yeah, the pandemic drove us into that. And I will say one of the biggest learning pieces that I've had is that is incredibly labor intensive. It takes a very long time to get it honed down to exactly what you want. We have a couple of those that we've used directly, but we haven't posted them like as just available to anyone yet because there's still finishing touches even 2 years into working on them that we want to make before we make them just available as like a click on our website. But we do have a little bit of experiences with that. And Roxanne, do you know if Geoset is still going here?
They are, and I will find that link for you as well. Geoset was originated by Dr. Harry Croto. So there's definitely, the cost is the cost of the videographer and the editing. So Geoset is a great organization on campus. We have, the Maglab has its own videographer who does all of our internal videos, which is beyond education. Like we videos that we have to do for tours, which also during the pandemic, most of our tours were done through video. The Maglab has a YouTube page. I'll throw it into the chat so you can see it. But you definitely need someone who knows how to edit the content that you want to do and to find those folks. I will say that you get really great analytics. Google Analytics for YouTube videos is a great, our NSF program officer for the Maglab loves it when our public affairs department tells them the Google Analytics data, the countries, like the folks from various countries, how many people, how many impressions there were, how many people viewed the page, all of those things. So that's if you do a video, you get a relatively cheap version of the evaluation. And that leads me to, and I know Beth will talk about this, but the evaluation of your activities is typically, I'm not sure how much it's important for the career grant, but typically on NSF grants, evaluation of those activities is incredibly important, and you have to provide funds for that piece of the grant. It's not something it's not something my group can do. We're already like doing all of these other things. We do have to evaluate our own programs, but we are spread pretty thin with that. So you'd have to look for an evaluator early on.
I just saw the question about computer science research, and I did leave that out because it's a relatively new thing, but we had a graduate student actually who's just super involved in outreach from the computational sciences group, who has worked with us to develop summer coding camps for high school students. We've done them for 2 years now. She has plans originally planned for them to be on campus. And of course, we haven't been able to do that yet. We're hoping to this summer with the, if things will stay tamped down on the pandemic to the level they're at now. And those, they're really innovative the way that she's designed that, where she's working with faculty, and then the students actually have like computer coding projects that are related to the faculty that she's working with. So those of you in computer science, if you're interested in that, you're welcome to talk to me as well.
And I put the cost in there. Ellen can also answer questions on, for the young scholars, Ellen, for 6 weeks. For our REU program, we pay them a stipend of $5,000. The way that our structure is, we go up for renewal every 5 years, and we're upping that amount. This is always an issue. It's participant support. If you are aware of NSF Speak, you'll understand why I'm like kind of frowning with that. But participant support can only be used for participants, and that is the stipend that we give to our students. So if you're going to give a stipend to students, sometimes our faculty will be like, well, how many hours a week are the REU supposed to work? And they're not hired employees. They are engaging in an experience to learn about research, which if you actually were to look to do the calculation, if our REUs are working for 10 weeks, 40 hours a week, they're actually only making $12.50 an hour. So we don't like to impose a strict 40-hour a week on our folks. So depending on what the structure of your program is to pay them a stipend, and this is to Dr. Rankin's question, I would highly, highly recommend paying your high school students. If you are going to include high school students, I think that there are some equity issues in what we expect of high school students, and particularly if you want to work with low-income students, paying them so that they don't have to get a job to do the work that you want to do. I definitely have seen NSF really rewarding folks who are paying the students who are participating in their programs. And I don't know what the criteria is for that, Beth, on participant support, but that's how we do it. And the housing for us, for our REU program, we house them in the graduate student dorms, roughly on average for 10 weeks, that's $2,000 for their housing. But if you have local students, you don't have to worry about that or the travel. And then Ellen can answer questions on the housing for the high school students.
So Young Scholars Program is fully supported by the College of Arts and Sciences. So there is no monetary cost to faculty who are sponsoring students. We're paying for their housing, their room and board. And the only thing that a student has to pay for is to get themselves here and get themselves home. Their parents usually drive them up and drop them off, and then pick them up at the end of the program. So that was something that we've been very proud of and protective of, because it does help level the playing field for students who couldn't afford an experience like that otherwise. I will add one thing, and Beth might want to speak more to this, and because Roxanne made me think about it, but when you are supporting participants in educational outreach activities, those costs on NSF grants are not charged into your indirect cost calculation. So that can change out the calculation of indirect cost a little bit. I know that all of the sponsored research personnel that work with you on grants can help you make those calculations. Well, feel free to contact me, and I'm sure Roxanne will say the same thing if you need to, but as she said, don't wait too late. We get very busy in the summer.
Good luck, everyone.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you both so much. Really helpful and some great ideas for possible connections. So thank you so much for that.